Good afternoon, and welcome to our first electronic all-hands meeting. Thank you for joining us today. First of all, I want to apologize that it's taken us so long to communicate to you in this fashion, but I'm sure that you all understand that as the world and our lives are changing on a daily basis, it would have been extremely difficult to give you a complete update much earlier. We are now 6 months into 2020, and as a team, we have already dealt with enormous challenges. The COVID-19 pandemic virus spread, many government restrictions, curfews in Saudi Arabia, your home country and international travel restrictions, the Metro DB contractor delays, slowdowns, and virus infections, the finalization of our contract renewal, and even the confirmed RMTC COVID cases that we are now seeing. I am sure that everyone is watching RMTC's confirmed case numbers rising. It is concerning to the leadership team, but the tracing that we're doing is showing that RMTC is starting to get relaxed on our personal time and letting our guard down. We have found cases traced back to the attendance of a birthday party, some of us traveling outside of Riyadh to infected areas and back, and attending gatherings for family meetings, dinners, and socializing. Please keep your guard up and protect yourself. Also during this period, we suffered the loss of a great team member and dear friend, Christy Bilal Atencio, who passed away in the Philippines this month. God rest his soul. His wife Gina and daughter Bianca remain in our prayers. We intend to speak to you today on how the JV has been dealing with current events and even give you a glimpse into the future. We will go through our contracting status, the pandemic situation, contractor work plans, what our immediate future will be, and what is on the horizon. We are very fortunate to have a client like RCRC. They have been supportive and demonstrated complete trust in RMTC and the partner companies, and have been at our side in carrying out the work over the past 6 years. Pay attention to the great relationship that we have on this project with our client, because you may never experience this type of relationship again with future clients. We have great news on our contract. On June 16th, we received a letter of award of the new contract, and on the same day, executed the change order for completion of the old contract. This now allows RMTC to receive final payments of the old contract, and it allows us to execute the new contract and push forward on receiving payments for services since January. The new contract is for the same services scope as the original, and the new term covers another 4 years. The good news, our service delivery plan for 2020 is intact, with no planned layoffs or reduction in staff this year. In 2021, the SDP is also expected to be as originally planned. Also, the rates and salaries have not changed. We remain whole, and we have a lot of work ahead of us. Now I'll turn the presentation over to Mick Ford.
Thank you very much, Carter, and good afternoon, everyone. For the first time in all our working careers, we're faced with a situation that affects all our lives. It affects our interactions at work, at home, in public, while we're eating, while we're shopping, and even while we're meeting and greeting friends and colleagues. We have to learn fast how to adapt to the change in the workplace and in our social lives. The change has been very fast and very furious, and we need to keep up. Some of these changes will disappear, but many will be with us for some time. The challenge is to get back to the new normal as soon as possible for all of us that inhabit the planet. We, as privileged and educated people with access to accurate information, we need to become the new role models with our work, with our family, and in the community as a whole. We must lead by example, because at the moment the world needs good leaders and we need them now. We should also be grateful that Saudi Arabia reacted very quickly. In February 2020, Saudi adopted the travel restrictions and started building the telecommunication systems that allowed them to monitor the disease using the most up-to-date and modern technology. The 937 hotline and multiple apps that came on quickly online confirmed to all of us that Saudi Arabia would be using technology to help us control the coronavirus. Saudi Arabia also invested heavily in field hospitals and medical equipment that they use to treat the critical cases. This investment has allowed Saudi to become the lowest death rate of any of the countries in the G20 or the GCC countries. That's a significant achievement for Saudi Arabia. I believe that most people listening today come from countries where the death rates are far higher than they are in Saudi Arabia. We're in a good place and the hospital system has not been overwhelmed and the care is available to you if you are sick. In recent months, I believe RMTC has proven themselves to be an industry leader in the way we've managed our response to COVID-19 and our responsibilities. Other companies and other industries are closely following what we do, how we do it, when we do it, and how we communicate it. Many companies have just taken the option to lock their staff away in response to the crisis. However, RMTC has been able to continue to protect the health and safety of our staff whilst continuing to represent our client, manage site and office work, and lead the way in providing safe and practical solutions in our industry. Because of this flexibility and the risk-based approach, RMTC have continued to work and receive full benefits, whilst other companies have taken pay cuts or been forced out of work. We should all be proud that others look at us to see how to keep our infection rates so low while still protecting our staff and our client. I thank you all for your commitment so far. There will be more changes ahead, so let's be ready to adapt as we have done before. And on a good news front, some more people that were tested positive have now been cleared. We're up to 6 cleared cases and that's improving every day. So thank you for your support, all the managers and supervisors that help us coordinate this recovery. I'll now hand over to Bruce Edwards.
Thanks, Mick. As we were deeply immersed in the updates, protocols, and policy changes, this happened daily. This was becoming a larger area of concern, so we created the RMTC COVID-19 Emergency Committee. That's with Mick Ford and myself as the co-managers. We've asked for volunteers to join this committee, and we immediately had interest from several staff from our field office. This task force meets to discuss policy and rule clarifications, compliance and concerns from the staff, and we have been successful in dispelling rumors and conjecture. Some of the policies we have implemented: social distancing in the office, mandatory wearing of face masks, no visiting contractors' camps or offices, just to name a few. The 10-member committee ensures we follow up on every staff member, those infected with the virus and those required to self-isolate. Those staff that are CV positive and self-isolating are contacted daily by delegates to ensure they have all the provisions and medicines they need to return to full recovery. We have stepped up our office cleaning and created a check sheet to ensure all areas of our facilities are cleaned often. Finally, we have had each working office scheduled for a deep cleaning and have already carried out several of these cleanings. In addition, we performed focus cleaning in offices and desk areas of confirmed COVID cases. The task force brought forth a concern about the 937 response time, and with the help of several staff in the field, we were able to identify several hospitals and facilities that are available to get a COVID test and one that will even take Bupa medical insurance. We have trained our drivers and provided a dedicated vehicle to be available should a staff member need to get to the medical facility for an initial visit and follow-up visits. The bottom of the slide says we have 15 confirmed cases, but really it's 16, but we did have 2 recoveries. This is a reminder that we must always be diligent in our preventive protocols, and soon this episode of our life will be a defining moment for us as a team who overcame this invisible menace. Now I'd like to turn the presentation over to Alexander.
Good afternoon to everyone, and thank you, Bruce. This is a long time since we had our last all-hands meeting, and I'm pleased to address you in this new online version. In the past weeks, all of us and our organization have been challenged by the COVID-19. Together, we adjusted the best we could and found the most adequate response. As of now, I believe that thanks to all our efforts, we managed to go through a great deal of the difficulties faced. It's not over yet, and if we demonstrate the same spirit we have shown so far, we will win this battle. The situation generated by COVID-19 impacted the work on the project, and more specifically, the DNB contractor work. They prepared a response to this new situation, and they adapted their way of working on site and in the office. Among the new adaptation, they changed the workers' accommodation and implemented rules for social distancing in the workers' accommodations. They imposed measures on subcontractors and removed those who are not compliant to these new measures. They put in place testing such as temperature check on site and laboratory testing. They put in place new isolation policies for the confirmed and potential cases. The South Camp was unfortunately eventually locked down, but everybody in BACS is currently being tested in order to be able to resume to go to work. Thanks to this response from the contractor, major and crucial activities are still maintained, even if some portion of the work can be slowed down to the impact of the disease in their teams. Siemens is performing static and dynamic tests on line 2. In the design field, the teams of BACS are publishing the field change request, and RMTC is currently spending a lot of time to review those. BACS is catching up actually on a long-lasting activity. On the OBC and roadwork activity, the contractor is maintaining the progress. We would like to see more work on Olaya Street, but the progress for handing over King Abdullah Road is starting. Activities are also ongoing on the KFD station, and specifically when it comes to the interface with the package 3 contractor FAST. According to their plan, we will see that the activities of the contractor will ramp up from the beginning of July and will increase gradually. We expect the site work to be at their maximum at the end of September. Therefore, in order to support our client, but also because our reason to be part of this company is to produce our work and be proud of our achievements, I'm pleased to say that RMTC is very much engaged on the project, and we have a lot of activities going on. In engineering, for instance, we maintain the review of the documents, design documents, installation documents, and safety documents. We still perform site visits and field training for the operator managed by the contractor. We give also assistance to the construction for the testing and commissioning, mainly on line 2. In the construction field, we continue to supervise the security and the maintenance of all sites. We continue our field operations and field verification where the contractor is still working. We review shop drawings and other construction documents, and all that is done in order to prepare the contractor's return to work. As you see, the work is going on, and there is more work to do. This is why the leadership team and I count on all of you to be very much dedicated to the work and the company. This is our reason to be part of the project, and this is also how we will maintain our position as the best engineering JV engaged on the Riyadh Metro. Now let me turn the presentation to Laurent Bandin.
Thanks a lot, Alexandre. Good afternoon to all of you who are connected to permit this video call today. I have to say that I have been over the last 4 months very impressed by our capacity to adapt best to change and to adjust our behavior to the situation, allowing us to best protect everyone else and to save our activity, especially when changes are sometimes daily. Unfortunately, the fight is not over. And if we don't know yet when the light will come at the end of the tunnel, we know for sure that as a close-knit team, we have the capacity to succeed together. During this period, the senior management team has given freedom to the line managers to adjust the rotation of presence of personnel in the office and to manage when needed case by case. I want to thank all of you, and especially Ashraf, Craig, Frank, Atif, Luigi, and Damien for their strong involvement on the day-to-day activity management. Once again, we must above all understand that the truth of today is not necessarily that of yesterday, and that it may be different from that of tomorrow. This thought should help us to keep hope in our ability to overcome this unprecedented crisis, if sometimes some of you lose confidence listening the last press information. I am proud to be part of this organization, and you can be as well. To complete this great project in the best conditions for our client, we will have to continue to show our strong determination despite the difficulties that will arise again. But with maintaining our team spirit, I have no doubt we will achieve it. On package 2, line 3, I&M, like the other contractors, have been strongly impacted by the COVID-19, and they have suffered delays with the curfew implementation. But they have provided the answer to protect the personnel and subcontractor by preparing the camps for their labors, imposing the rule of government like temperature check, COVID-19 tests, and isolation. They have also closed the office when it was needed. On the side of works, today all sites have resumed on all fronts, even if the activity is still lower of what it should be. The two iconic stations and the interchange station continue. All elevated and deep underground stations have resumed. On transit system, the testing and commissioning activity is ongoing. The design work has not been impacted and the rate of submittal stays the same. The finishing work and the landscape work is also resuming side by side. We, RMTC, have continued all over this period to review all documentation. We have performed our site visit and given our assistance for testing and commissioning everywhere it was possible. We have also performed HSE inspection for COVID-19 to monitor the performance of the contractor. We have now also to support the contractor for return to normal in the best interest of the project. For this, we need to work with I&M on a new schedule for completion of work and to investigate where we can find mitigations, if any. Our responsibility remains the same as before. We have to deliver this project with the highest quality for our client. Thanks a lot for your attention. I now hand over to Carter for the continuation of this presentation.
Thank you, Laurent. Now let's look at our future. We have completed our June furloughs, and at this time, the leadership team has no plans for any further furloughs or work suspensions without pay. However, everyone at RMTC needs to understand that we continue to be in a very difficult situation, and if circumstances do not improve, the leadership team will be forced to adjust this plan. Going forward, we need to focus on continuing our services at the highest quality level possible. The leadership team commits to you that, first, We will continue doing things to protect you from the virus spread. We only ask that you help us protect you by continuing to wash and sanitize your hands frequently and after touching surfaces. Continue to use the established social distancing procedures. Wear your mask. It not only protects you, it protects who you are with. Avoid sharing food and drinks, and make personal decisions for yourself that keep you, your families, and friends protected. Let me be very clear here. Your personal decisions not only affect you, but they affect everyone around you, including the JV and its business. So help us protect you. Please do the right thing. The leadership team's second commitment to you. We respect your need to visit your homes and families. We have already supported several staff members that needed to have emergency leave. And we've even repatriated some staff that no longer wished to work in Saudi Arabia. The leadership team is currently working with line managers to establish plans for leave to visit our homes and families when international airline travel opens up. We want to fully support you in your desire to travel, but we must do it in an organized manner that allows us to keep performing our services and carrying out our obligations for our client, RCRC. Our third commitment to you, we are concerned about your future. This project is not like all other projects in the industry where staff is only a temporary professional resource. The leadership team at RMTC cares about you, and we continue to look for opportunities for your growth and advancement, and we will take every opportunity to reward your superior performance. And we have secured all of your positions through the service delivery plans for 2020 and 2021. You should be comfortable in knowing that you have a place with the team to complete this great project. If you stay with the team to the end of your assignment and you continue to demonstrate excellent performance, we will stand by you and support your growth and advancement in the future if you so desire. Now, I will turn the presentation over to Bruce Edwards to give you a snapshot of the tremendous opportunities that our companies have in Saudi Arabia, which could be part of your future.
Thank you, Chief. Building on a tremendous success on this project, each company has secured other projects throughout Saudi Arabia. We have many opportunities that are currently available and more to come. This is a snapshot of the projects that are actively working in the kingdom. Yambu, this is the oldest continuous project in the kingdom with 41 plus years. KAFD Area 2, PM Services supporting Jazeera and Public Investment Fund. Diriyah Gate, PM Services and Cost Services for the Diriyah Gate Development Authority. Qadiyah PMO, which is Entertainment City. Makkah Mashir PMO, Operation and Maintenance Company for the railway. Saudi section of the GCC, Preliminary Design for the Overland Railway. Riyadh King Saud University, Design, Tender and Evaluation of University Buildings. King Salman Park, CM Services for the King Salman Energy Park, Spark. Riyadh Airport PMO, PM Services for the extension of the Riyadh Airport. Green Riyadh, PM Services of the greening of Riyadh City. This is just to name a few key projects. The opportunities are there for you if you want to continue to further your work career in the kingdom. But first we need to close out this project, turn it over, complete our assignment, and I am sure when opportunities present themselves, as well as new opportunities, you will be first in line to move on and continue your career with whatever company you are currently with. Now to close things out, let me turn this presentation back over to Carter.
Thank you, Bruce, and thanks to the rest of the leadership team for your briefs. I see that we're starting to get questions, so let's go ahead and queue up the questions and see if we can try to answer what the staff is asking.
Okay, everybody, be patient. This is my first time at this. First question I have is from Roger Shaman. Living away from family is hard. If flights start in routine, can we get unpaid leaves for a month to visit our family, to meet family and get fresh? I personally utilized my leave in January. Thank you.
Yeah, Bruce, let me answer that. Very good question, and a lot of us are thinking the same thing. We, the leadership team, want to support you, but we want to also make sure you don't take a step in the wrong direction. Right now, it's very uncertain with airline travel. And what I mean by uncertainty, some flights will go out, but you can't get back. And if you have a desire to come back to work, it could impact you. But we, the leadership team, are going to stand by you, and we're going to look at every request and make sure it works with the schedules that we're laying out so we can continue our services and see how we best can support each of you.
Thanks, Carter. Okay, the next question I have is from Ahmed Mansour from Package 2. When it is expected to get back at the full capacity of the office? I'm going to let Carter answer that one as well.
Another good question. It's very difficult. You can't tell the future. This virus pandemic is something we've never experienced. None of us, no one around the world has experienced it. So your guess is as good as mine, but as long as our current procedures are working and our policies in place are working, we're going to continue to stay the course. Now, as each change happens and as the conditions get better, the leadership team are going to stay on top of it, and we're going to figure out how we can open the business back up and get back to a normal, whatever the new normal may be.
Okay, thank you. All right. Next question I have is from Clint Fargase from Package 0, the IT guy. How long is the work from home schedule going to be affected, and is there any office renovation plan for maintaining social distancing? I'm going to answer that question for you, Clint. Right now, we need to maintain the work from home plan as long as we can. Again, it's kind of the same answer that Carter gave for the capacity in the office. As far as the renovations and maintaining social distancing, that is a very good question, because we did look at it when we moved to the Malaz office, and we were able to move the desks around there so it accomplished social distancing. We'll be looking at that again when we start to try to bring people back into the Aruba office, and we're going to look at every other office as well to make sure that we can meet those guidelines for everyone to keep them safe. Okay. Next question I have is from Salah Sobi from Package 2. What happens to RMC employees who are stranded outside of KASA with expired exit reentry visas when authorities announced a return possibility? Okay, I'm going to answer this one too, because I've been directly involved with this. There are several employees that were stuck outside of the kingdom when the pandemic came. They've been stuck there. We've tried to work with them. They do have a job the minute they come back. That's good news. Their exit reentry visas have all been extended, and when that time comes, we already have commitment from the government that there will be no issues with reissuing those.
Bruce, let me weigh in and assure staff that we're working to try to keep everyone that got stranded through no fault of their own. But I need to be very clear here from a leadership perspective. If you decide on your own, even if your line manager and the leadership team tells you it's not a good time to travel, you're going to get caught out. If you make that decision, we can't guarantee you that we can support you until you can come back. So please, if you have plans, if it's an emergency, if you need assistance, talk to us first. Don't just jump and leave when flights open up, because it could create difficult conditions for both you and for us.
Okay. All right. Next question I have is from Amir Liquidin, IT Package 0. What is the right time for employees to return to work after they recovered completely from COVID? And what if his line manager asks him to report to work early? I am going to let Mick answer this, because Mick is the stop for all this. Go ahead, Mick.
Thank you, Bruce, and thank you, Amir. There is no actual right time, because everyone gets different symptoms. Some people have absolutely no symptoms when they get positive, and some people have multiple symptoms. So we treat each individual case on its merit. We look at the symptoms of each person every day, and if they are recovering, we make sure that they ring MOH and get permission to return to work. Once MOH has given that permission, then on top of that time frame, we make sure that they've spent at least 3 days symptom-free on top of that time frame to make sure that they are completely safe before they return to work. And let's make this very clear. Only Bruce Edwards and myself are able to give you permission to return to work from testing positive to COVID-19 or being placed in isolation. Okay? Only Bruce and myself. So if you're in isolation or you've tested positive, then please do not return to work until you have written permission from myself or Bruce. Thanks, Bruce.
Okay, next question I have is Amir again. Is there any action in place if users who come to the office with COVID-19 minor symptoms and refuse to report to the manager or the HSE team? Mick, I'm going to answer this one. It's a very simple. It's if you see somebody that is not feeling well or is demonstrating a symptom, you let your manager or let somebody know right away, and we will talk to that person and we will help them get the care that they need. We don't want anybody infected. We don't want people panicking, but at the same token, as Carter said, we have to take care of ourselves to take care of our teammates. And again, if somebody is here and you think that they may be suffering or have an issue, you let us know and we will help them deal with it. Okay? Next question I got is from Mohammed Nasir Uven from Package 1, South Depot. Kindly share with us the status or procedure for coming back from vacation. I gotta say, I don't totally understand that question. Come on back from vacation.
Well, I think it's actually a pretty good question. It's not something anybody's really thinking. This is Carter again. It's not something that's really on our minds right now, but it's a very good question because the flights, when they do open up, are the repatriation flights coming back to Saudi. They are carrying people back into the kingdom. And if we have staff that get on those flights and do come back, we need to work with the authorities and figure out what isolations are currently in place so that we can start planning the work. And if they're coming back virus-free, there's no reason that if their position allows them to work remotely, that we could set things up such that they could work while they're in isolation. But all of that depends on what the rules are at the time that they come back.
Okay. Next question I have is from Raz Akhtar. And if I pronounce your name wrong, please bear with me. Package 1. What has been the negative impact so far of COVID pandemic on the RMTC employees? I'm going to let Mick answer that one to give you a quick brief.
Yeah, thanks, Bruce. Our infection rates have been very low considering what we're doing. So I guess the biggest impact has been that some people don't understand the disease, they don't understand the symptoms, and they don't understand the process. So for that reason, the biggest negative impact has been that people get a little bit scared and they're not sure what to do. So what the CEC has been put in place so that if you have any questions, you email myself or Bruce and we can make sure we answer them for you. There's no need to be scared of the virus. We will look after you. We will track your progress. We will check on you daily and we will make sure that you're okay. We only, so far, have had one person that went to hospital and I actually cleared him for work yesterday. He's back on full duties. So far the impact on our business and the health of the people in our business has been limited. I think the fact that people get scared, as rightly so, sometimes they should, because they don't understand. So the CEC is there to help you, to allay your fears, and if you have any questions, then we're more than happy to answer them. But so far, apart from a few people missing a couple of weeks off work, the impact has not been severe.
Mick, let me add something to that. We did something very smart, but not because we, the leadership team, are smart. We did it because employees and staff were smart enough and brave enough to come to us with questions about things we hadn't thought about. And the smart thing that we did is we formed a committee, that COVID committee that Bruce and Mick are co-chairing. This COVID committee includes working line staff people. So we've got people from every levels of the organization in that committee, and they're working on these issues every week, and they're meeting periodically to discuss the issues. And what it will do is allow people from all aspects of the organization to hear about what's going on so that the information is out there and it belays the fear, or it settles people down, because we're all human. We all get fearful of things we don't know about. So the committee, one of their primary charges are to communicate with staff and stay in touch with staff.
Okay. Next question I have is from Imran Ali in package 1. And he says, with a heavy heart, I just want to say that if someone dies due to COVID-19 with RMTC, what is the process or time schedule to send their bodies back to their home country? I'm going to answer this as best I can. It's an unfortunate situation that if that were to happen, we would work with our human resources departments from each company and the government to expedite and repatriate the human remains back to their home country as quickly as possible, and as in accordance with the guidelines of the Ministry of Health. So hopefully it'll never come to that, but there is a process in place to handle that. Next question comes from Wajid Khan from package 1 on the Leia station. He says, is this recommended by RMTC leadership team to visit the site with BACS QC engineer during inspections? Alexander, can I turn this one over to you, please?
Yes, no problem with that. So actually what we try to do, and I think you are all working with your line managers and the construction managers, in order to avoid meeting too many people from the contractor side. We cannot say it's recommended to visit the site with the BACS QC engineers, but we recommend that you do as much as possible being far away from any other person. Keep the social distancing. So BACS, they are not more sick than we are, or they don't have any more problems than what we have. So what we recommend is try to avoid it as much as possible. But of course, if you really need to do it, go, but keep the rules of social distancing, which implies wearing the mask and keeping the 2-meter distance.
Thank you, Alexander. The next question I have is also from Imran Ali from package 1. When BACS with their subcontractor resumes work normally, then the chances to spread the virus will increase. As observed, mostly laborers don't take care about social distances, face masks, etc. In this situation, what does RMTC manager think about the RMTC employee safety? I'm going to let Mick answer that one. Mick, could you tee that up, please?
Yeah, Bruce, thank you very much. Just there's a lot of work going on in the background that a lot of people probably don't understand. BACS are actually auditing all the camps of their subcontractors, and unless they score over 80%, they're not even allowed to even reconsider coming back to site. They're also doing mass testing of their up to 450 tests a day now of their whole of their south camp and their labourers' camps. So you can be fairly confident by the time they get back to a full schedule of work that every single person that goes onto that site, if they're a BACS employee, they will have been tested, so we'll know exactly what their status is. And if they're a subcontractor employee, their camp, their facilities and their own internal testing will have had to stand up to the BACS internal auditor to make sure that they're up to standard. So by the time we get back to full speed ahead, you would imagine every single one of those contractors and the South Camp labourers would have been tested. So we certainly won't be putting our people at risk. BACS and A&M now have very good systems in place to make sure they validate their subcontractors' accommodations and their systems. So as far as that's concerned, you can be fairly confident that everyone coming back to site, maybe they won't be wearing a face mask then, but they will have been tested for COVID-19 by then. So I think we've got a good system in place.
Okay, thanks, Mick. Next question I have is from Sheik in package 2. It's actually not a question, it's a statement. And Sheik says he's proud to work under a great leadership team who's always taking care of their employees. We all appreciate that. We do care. We wouldn't be doing the things that we do. We spend a lot of time at nights talking to each other when everybody is home eating dinner. And we agonize over the situation we've been put in. And we do try to find safe solutions for everybody. We do care about the team here. Next question, Ahmed Ibrahim wants to know, securing a place for us after this project is something that may change our plans, or in another wording, may really make us no career plans but to finish this project. Ahmed, I agree with you. I think that the reason that, we've had a lot of people ask this question, we haven't really had a good opportunity to showcase some of the projects. What we put up there is really just a snapshot of what is available today. I can assure you that each company, because of the sound work and quality that we put into this project, are getting other projects throughout the kingdom. So again, if your career is to stay in the kingdom, stay tuned, because there's going to be a lot of opportunity. We just really need to focus on this. And believe me, when opportunity comes, if it's a little bit before the project's over, we talk to people, we will do our best to make sure that you could transition in a timely fashion, that you don't lose an opportunity that comes available. Okay, next question from Faraz Alam. Residing away from the family is hard. If flights start in routine, can we get unpaid leaves? I think we've answered this question, Faraz, so I'm going to I think Carter answered this very well before, so I'm going to skip on to the next question. Vedakamar from Package 1, why are the main doors of RMT being kept locked nowadays? Because of this, we are forced to touch the common surfaces again and again. I'm gonna answer this question. So we really need to protect us in here. So we have to ensure that we do not have visitors. We've actually had people just show up and walk in this building that do not belong here. So we do not want to invite the virus in. And we agree touching the surface is problematic, but every single door has a sanitizer there next to the doorknob and next to the fingerprint machine. That's why it's there. We encourage you, don't touch your face. If you got to come in, you touch the door, use the fingerprint, get your temperature check and go wash your hands and sanitize. That's the best we can do. But really, keeping the doors locked is for your protection. We do not want anybody coming in that we do not know that could possibly infect anybody. Okay? Next question I have is from Barakat from IT from Package 0. How are we sanitizing the offices after some users reported COVID-19? In the slide, we've looked at, there are some pictures in there, and what we've tried to do is when we have every other week or so, we'll have the cleaners come in and do a deep cleaning on Friday. Some of the office get a message and say, please don't come into the office. We're going to deep clean, but we have deep cleaned the office. If it's something that somebody thinks, hey, listen, there was a few people here that may or may not have had been exposed, let us know. We have no problem with doubling back around to make sure that the offices and your workplaces are clean. Okay. Next question is from Atif Ahmed from Package 1. He says, it was very reassuring though that RMTC has succeeded in acquiring new contracts, and most of us will be here to complete the project. Thanks, Atif. We really do appreciate that, and we look forward to, we all look forward to a long career. Some of us much shorter, like myself, but because I'm ready to retire. Anyway, the next one I got from Raja Ghulam, and he's from Package 1. Can you tell me the RMTC policy about quarantine days if someone's come back from home country? Will RMTC pay the home charges? That's a policy question that I would suggest. We don't, let me say this. We do not know what the quarantine situation will be when you return once they open up the flights. We'll have to address that later on. It's a good question. I don't have an answer for you right now, but I think that we could do a little investigation and put that on our frequently asked questions and get back to you on that, if you don't mind. Next question.
If you want, Bruce. Currently,
go ahead.
The isolation period is 2 weeks for the specially arranged flights.
Okay. And again, I don't know if that's going to continue to when they start regularly scheduled service. We'll have to see, and we'll have to make those decisions when that happens. Okay, this next one is from Shadab Ahmad from Package 2. He says, I feel blessed in being such a nice company and project. Can I get a family visa to avail medical insurance benefits for my family is extremely costly. Shadab, that's not a question that I can readily answer here. We'll definitely take the question back, and we will have a discussion with the senior leadership, and we'll take a look at it. If it's something that we can do to help our employees out, we'll certainly take that under advisement and see what we can do. Okay. Last question. Mohammed Ahmed from Package One. Frankly speaking, as backstop work, did management have any negative image of our staff, and negligible to work compared to regular times? You know, that's a tough question. I'm going to speak for the senior leadership team, and if I misstep, please feel free to jump in. But you know, we understand. But everybody showed up to work every day. Everybody pitched in. Everybody did what they had to do. But just showing up to work is a big bonus for us. It's a show of unity and support for us and for the client. And I don't think that anyone in the senior leadership team has a negative impact on the response that this team has done since we've been all affected in early March.
I think, Bruce, let me add to that. In my experience, I have never had a situation where I was able to take the time to do those things administratively, technically, on the soft side with documents, to get myself in a position to get ahead of the construction. And even though this pandemic has been really bad for us and everyone around the world, it's given the good team, no, it's given the great teams the opportunity to do the right thing. And we, RMTC, did it. We focused on all of the soft side, and we're catching up with the documents. Most projects that you execute around the world, they are behind at the end of the project on documentation for closeout, for handover. We're in a very good place because the leadership team focused on sending everybody into the areas where we could satisfy the commitment for the documentation. So I think if there's a plus side to what's going on here, I think we've done the right thing. I think you all as staff have been admirable in doing what is necessary to keep the business going. So I think we're in a great position.
Thanks, Carter.
And if I may, can I add up on this one as well? If the fear is that people are having a negative image of the staff, I can assure you that we don't have a negative image of our staff, and I tell you why. Because in the majority of our people, and we see that all over the place, actually, the people are working. It's not because there is no work on site that we have nothing to do, and that's what Carter just explained. So obviously, we don't have a negative image. We see that there is a good production ongoing. I can assure you that the production in terms of review of the documents actually increased since the contractor has stopped. And of course, we expect some difficulties because the documents are not coming anymore. But so far, we can see that we have seen a team which is fully mobilized, who's working full time, even though there is no work on site. So no, we don't have a negative image.
I can add something as well. Everyone who has experience working remotely from home, everybody will tell you that he's working more than before, because we have demonstrated that people working remotely are working very hardly, and we are very proud of that. So there is no reason to have a bad image of anybody, because nobody is responsible of this situation. But again, people are even working more than before.
Okay. Well, everybody, I just wanted to say thank you so much. I hope you've enjoyed this live presentation. Let me leave you with two things. One, if you have any questions that you may want to have answered by the senior leadership team, please feel free to send it to any one of us or all of us, and we'll put it together. And if we get a pretty good amount of questions, we'll put something out and as a follow-up to answer the questions that didn't get asked today. And the last thing I'm going to say is that this was brought to you by your IT team. They have done a fantastic job in putting this together. There was a much gnashing and grinding of teeth to get it to this point, but I think you'll all agree, and I hope you all agree, that this was a great venue. And with that, I'm going to say goodbye. Carter, you want any last words?
Yeah, let me go ahead and close. Let me close with a thought that you all need to take away. Everyone needs to leave this presentation understanding that you all have done an amazing job through a very difficult time, a pandemic. You've done unbelievable things to keep our business going. You've been very flexible when the leadership team has decided that we had to do work in a different way. So I applaud you all. You're all amazing. And what it brings to mind is a saying that we have in Texas. In Texas, we say, to be a great team, an amazing team, you can make it rain. I am fully confident that everyone here in RMTC can make it rain. So thank you all for joining us. Keep your eye out in the future. We're going to continue to do meetings like this, and we really appreciate everyone's involvement and attendance. Be safe, be healthy.